The earth was silent. No birds, no laughter, no cities. Only ashes and cold wind moved through the ruins of what once was home. The skies were not blue anymore. They were filled with grey clouds and the smell of burnt metal. The ground was cracked, black and lifeless. Once this world had billions of people. Now only a few thousand still breathed, hiding deep underground, waiting for a tomorrow that might never come. 10 years ago they came, the Zorath Dominion. An empire from the stars, powerful, endless. They came with fire in their ships and pride in their voices. They said they came to bring order, but what they brought was the end of everything human. They burned the great cities first. New York, Shanghai, Delhi, Paris, all gone in a single night. They didn't want Earth's land. They wanted its spirit. They destroyed our books, our music, our art. They hunted down anyone who spoke of freedom. They erased the stories of humanity, trying to make us forget who we were. The narrator's voice grows colder. They took everything. But they forgot one thing. Humans don't stay broken forever. In the shadows of what used to be London, a small light flickered. It came from a tunnel. Deep below the ground was where the last survivors lived. Inside, broken machines hummed, and tired people worked in silence. Among them was Dr. Kira Holt, once a scientist at the United Nations Space Program, and now a woman with a single mission, to make the invaders pay. Her hands were thin, her face marked with dust and sleepless nights. But in her eyes there was something that hadn't died: hope. Every night she would stare at an old photo, a small girl smiling, holding a toy rocket. Her daughter. Gone since the first wave of the invasion, people whispered her name with respect and fear. Some said she was building a bomb. Others said she was chasing a dream. No one really knew what she was making, only that she never stopped. One evening, a young soldier entered the lab. "Dr. Holt," he said quietly, "Zorath patrols are getting closer. We can't keep hiding forever." Kira didn't look up. Her hands were busy connecting glowing cables into a massive steel core. "I know," she said softly. "That's why we're not hiding. We're preparing." The soldier looked around. Strange shapes filled the lab, parts of machines that looked both human and alien. "Preparing for what?" he asked. She smiled, a small, tired smile. "For the end of empires." The camera, or the listener's mind, slowly moves through the base. Men and women working in silence, faces pale under the flicker of dying lights. Engineers rebuilding from scraps. Old miners bringing metal from collapsed tunnels. Children sleeping near generators. Everyone had lost someone. Everyone had a reason to fight. The narrator's voice grows deeper. They had no armies, no fleets, no power, but they had something no empire could destroy: the will to rise again. Outside, the Zorath command ship floated above the dead earth like a god of war. Their soldiers, tall, armored, and cruel, marched across the wasteland hunting for survivors. They laughed when they found human camps. They called them dust eaters. To them, humans were already extinct, just waiting to die. But deep below, humanity was not dying. It was building. Dr. Holt and her team had discovered something years ago. A piece of alien tech from the first invasion wave. She hid it, studied it, learned from it. It wasn't a weapon, not yet, but it had power, a kind of energy that reacted to thought, to emotion. The moment she realized that, she knew what must be done. Human pain, human will, human rage, all could be turned into something more. Something the Zorath would never understand. Her voice echoed through the tunnels one night. "They took our world. They burned our sky, but they can't erase what's inside us. We are the fire they can't control." That night the base was quiet. Only the soft hum of machines filled the dark. Then a light flashed. A pulse ran through the tunnels. The walls shook. For a second, every screen in the base showed the same words: Project Godfire. Activation. 3%. People stared. Some crossed themselves. Others cried. For the first time in 10 years, there was a sign of something bigger than fear. Far above, in the Zorath flagship, alarms began to flash. Unknown energy signature detected. Location: Earth's surface. The alien commander turned toward the holographic map. "Impossible," he hissed. "That world is dead, but it wasn't dead. It was waiting." And as the narrator's voice fades, the scene closes with the sound of thunder rolling over the broken planet. A whisper follows, quiet but full of power. In the dark heart of a dead world, humanity was building a weapon that could end empires. The tunnels shook again that night. Dust fell from the old stone ceiling as the hum of the machine grew stronger. For the first time in years, people looked at each other not with fear, but with something new, hope. Dr. Kira Holt stood before the glowing core of Project Godfire. The light from the machine painted her face in gold and red. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the weight of what she was creating. Around her, engineers worked with quiet focus. Old mining drills had been turned into fusion cables. Damaged alien tech was rebuilt using human tools. They had no factory, no government, no army, but they had will. The narrator's voice echoes softly. When the world ended, humans didn't give up. They learned to build from ruins. It had taken 10 long years of silence, hiding, and sacrifice. Now, for the first time, humanity had a plan. They called it the Plan of Light. But in secret records, it had another name, Project Godfire. Kira gathered the survivors in the old subway tunnels that served as their base. Hundreds of tired faces stared at her, soldiers, engineers, medics, even farmers. The youngest among them was 12, the oldest over 70. She looked at them and said simply, "The Zorath took our cities. They took our families. They took our past, but they will not take our future." Her voice was calm but full of strength. "We are building something that can end them. Not just their armies, their empire itself." A whisper ran through the crowd. A weapon that could end empires. It sounded like madness. But madness was all humanity had left. The camera, or listener's eye, moves closer to the machine. It wasn't like anything seen before. A huge sphere of silver and black metal, suspended in mid-air by magnetic fields. Inside, a pulsing light moved slowly, like a living heart. Kira had learned that this light was a kind of conscious energy, something the Zorath used to power their ships. It reacted not to switches or code, but to emotion. Anger, fear, courage. It absorbed it all and became stronger, so she changed it. She reprogrammed the core to respond to one thing only, the human spirit. The narrator's tone deepens. They used power to control. She used power to free. Every night the people came and placed their hands on the machine. They thought of what they had lost, their homes, their loved ones, their world. The machine glowed brighter with every tear, every memory, every heartbeat. Soon even the children came. They whispered stories to the glowing core, stories of the stars, of oceans, of laughter. And the machine listened. It wasn't just a weapon now. It was becoming something alive, a piece of humanity itself, but not everyone agreed. In one corner of the tunnel, 2 men argued. "This is madness," said one, a former pilot named Mason. "You're building a god. What if it turns on us?" Kira turned toward him, her face calm. "No," she said softly. "I'm building something that remembers us, something that will never forget what they did." Mason frowned. "Do you think pain makes power?" Kira looked at the glowing sphere and whispered, "No, love does." Her words silenced the room. For weeks, work continued. They scavenged alien wrecks, pulled old satellites from orbit, melted scrap metal into new shapes. Each piece was fitted into the base like a puzzle. One mistake could destroy them all. One night, as the lights flickered, a young technician ran into the room. "Dr. Holt, we finished the energy link." The machine roared to life, its light flooding the tunnels like sunrise. All over the underground city, people stopped what they were doing. Children ran out of their rooms to see it. Old men cried. For the first time since the invasion, the humans saw light that wasn't from fire or war. But far above in the dark skies, the Zorath had noticed too. In their orbiting command ship, alarms screamed again. Strange readings appeared, unknown frequencies from deep below Earth's surface. The alien commander snarled, "Find the source. Destroy it." The order spread through the fleet. Scout ships began to descend. Down below, Kira knew they were running out of time. The weapon was not ready, but the Zorath were coming. She gathered her small team around her. "This is it," she said. "They'll come for us now. When they do, we hold them off long enough to finish activation." A soldier asked, "And if we fail?" She looked up, her eyes burning in the glow of the machine. "Then let them remember this. Even in their victory, they feared what humans could build." That night, the base went silent again. No music, no talk, just the soft hum of power growing inside Project Godfire. The lights pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeat of the people. Outside, thunder rolled again across the empty plains of Earth. But this time it wasn't from the storm. It was from ships, the Zorath Purge fleet entering the atmosphere. Kira watched the radar calm, unblinking. She whispered to herself, "Let them come. The fire is almost ready." The narrator's voice fades as the screen fills with red skies and falling ships. The sound of metal and wind grows louder. In the ruins of their world, humans built not just a weapon, but a promise. The night sky burned red. From the ground, it looked like fire raining from heaven. But it wasn't fire. It was ships, hundreds of them, descending through the clouds, glowing like falling stars. The Zorath Purge fleet had arrived. Their orders were simple: erase the last of humanity. No survivors. No stories. No memory. In the dark tunnels far below the surface, the ground shook with every landing. Dust fell from the ceiling. People clutched each other in fear. Dr. Kira Holt stood before the great core of Project Godfire, watching its light pulse like a living heart. Each pulse was stronger now. Each one carried the echoes of millions who had lived and died on Earth. The narrator's voice grows low. In that moment, Kira understood. The Zorath had ships and armies, but humanity had something far more dangerous. Belief. The radio crackled. A voice came through, filled with panic. "Dr. Holt, they've landed near the old city ruins. Their drones are digging down. We can't stop them for long." Kira pressed the comm button. "Hold your positions. Don't fight them directly. Stall them as long as you can. We only need time." She turned to her team, tired, hungry, and covered in dust. "You all know what's coming. Today they'll find us, but they'll also find something else, the beginning of their end." Her words spread through the tunnels like fire through dry grass. Every man and woman took their position. Old soldiers readied ancient weapons. Mechanics armed the turrets. Kids carried messages and power cells. Above ground, the Zorath soldiers marched across the wasteland, tall, silver-skinned, eyes glowing blue. They moved with mechanical precision, scanning the ground for energy readings. "Human signatures detected," one of them said in a flat voice. The commander raised his clawed hand. "Burn them out." Explosions tore through the earth as their plasma cannons fired. The underground base shook. Lights flickered. Screams echoed through the halls. Kira didn't flinch. She placed her hand on the glowing core of Godfire. It was hot now, almost too hot to touch. Her eyes closed. She whispered, "Not yet. Just a little more." Then a loud alarm filled the room. The technician shouted, "Energy level at 92%. The core is stable." Kira opened her eyes. "That's enough." The room went silent. Everyone looked at her. "Are we ready?" asked Mason, the pilot. She nodded. "It's time the galaxy remembers what humans can do." She pressed the final switch. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the air began to vibrate. The lights dimmed. The hum grew into a roar. Above ground, the Zorath soldiers froze. Their scanners went wild. The unknown surge detected. Before the commander could finish, a beam of light shot out from the ground, a pure white, and blinding. It hit one of their ships in orbit, a massive cruiser that had ruled the skies for a decade. There was no explosion, no sound. The ship simply vanished, torn apart by light and energy beyond measure. Silence followed. Then slowly, human cheers began to echo through the tunnels. For the first time in 10 years, humanity had struck back. Kira stood still, her heart pounding. She could feel the machine's power flowing through her, through everyone. Tears fell from her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We finally did it." But the victory was short. In orbit, the Zorath command ship watched in disbelief. An alien officer turned to his leader. "Commander, the human planet just destroyed one of our cruisers." The commander's cold blue eyes narrowed. "Impossible. That world is dead." He looked again at the readings. The energy signature was unlike anything they had seen before. He clenched his fist. "Prepare the entire fleet. No more scouting. We will burn this planet to its core." Thousands of ships began to move into attack formation. Down below, Mason ran into the lab, breathing hard. "They're coming." "Every ship they have." Kira looked at the glowing core. It was dimmer now, weaker after the strike. She turned to her team. "We need to recharge. Feed it everything we have. Power cells, batteries, anything that can hold energy." People rushed to obey. The tunnels filled with movement again. Outside, the sky darkened as the Zorath ships blocked out the sun. Lightning cracked across the clouds. The narrator's voice deepens. The first strike had given humanity hope. But hope always comes with a price. As the first enemy bombardment began, the earth trembled violently. Walls collapsed, people screamed. Kira shouted, "Keep working! Don't stop! Every second counts." Through the dust and chaos, Mason grabbed her shoulder. "There are too many, Kira. Even if we charge it again, we can't stop all of them." She looked at him, calm and steady. "Maybe not, but we can make them afraid." She turned back to the glowing machine. "Project Godfire," she whispered. "Let them see what humanity truly is." The camera pans upward, through the cracked tunnels, through the black clouds, to the massive alien fleet filling the sky. Their engines hum like thunder. The narrator's voice fades into a slow, heavy tone. The invaders had forgotten what it means to fight humans. They thought victory was power. They were wrong. Victory is surviving long enough to strike back. A final flash of light flickers from the ground as Godfire's energy surges again. The Zorath commander watches from orbit, his eyes narrowing. "Let them come," he says coldly. "We will end this once and for all." The music rises. The screen fades to black. A single line appears on screen. The war for Earth has begun. The world was burning again. Fire and smoke covered the ruined land as the Zorath Purge fleet unleashed its power. From orbit, their plasma storms fell like lightning, tearing through the remains of cities that once defined human greatness. Earth shook under every blast. Mountains cracked, oceans boiled, and the air itself trembled. But deep below, humanity refused to fall. Inside the underground base, alarms screamed and red lights flashed. People ran through the tunnels carrying weapons, energy cells, and wounded friends. The walls shook with every impact, but no one stopped. They all knew this was the end, or the beginning. Dr. Kira Holt stood in the command chamber, her face lit by the pulsing glow of Project Godfire. The machine was ready but unstable. The energy core thrummed like a heart about to burst. Mason, covered in dust and blood, rushed in. "They've broken through the outer defense." "We're out of drones." Kira didn't look up. Her hands moved quickly across the control panel. "Divert all remaining power to the core." "We don't need drones anymore." Mason stared at her. "You're going to overload it, aren't you?" She paused for a second, then said quietly, "If that's what it takes." The narrator's voice comes in, low and heavy. Every great story has a final moment, the point where hope and destruction become the same thing. Kira opened the communication line to the other bases, small outposts scattered under the ruins of old cities. Static filled the speakers, then one by one voices answered. "This is Base Delta. Holding for now. Gamma reporting, we're losing people fast. Base Sigma, this might be it." She closed her eyes and said, "Listen to me. Today they will come for us, but today they'll also learn who we really are. You all know what to do. You all know what we're fighting for." Her voice cracked slightly. "For every name they erased, every child they took, every life they ended, and today we make them remember humanity." The radio went silent for a moment. Then one voice replied, steady and strong, "For Earth." Then another, "For humanity." Soon hundreds of voices echoed through the speakers. "For Earth." "For humanity!" Their voices blended into one roar, a human sound filled with rage and hope. Outside, the Zorath commander watched the planet from orbit. His scanners showed the growing energy spike from deep underground. He frowned. "They're trying to strike again. Stop them before the charge completes." Dozens of alien ships dived toward the surface, firing streams of plasma into the ground. Underground, the ceiling began to collapse. Dust fell like rain. Kira and her team worked through the chaos, fingers flying over the control panels. Mason shouted, "We've got structural failure on levels 3 and 4. "Seal them off," Kira said. "We can't stop now." She looked at the glowing core. It was beautiful, like a small sun trapped inside a cage. It pulsed faster, brighter, almost alive. She whispered softly, "You've taken our world. You've taken our peace. But you will never take our fire." Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small photo, her daughter smiling under a blue sky. Her eyes softened. "For you, my little star." The machine roared louder, shaking the entire base. Energy readings spiked to dangerous levels. The technicians screamed, "Core overload! We can't control it." Kira smiled faintly. "We're not supposed to control it." Outside, the ground cracked open as the first shockwave erupted from beneath. Blinding light shot into the sky, piercing through clouds and flames. Several Zorath ships exploded instantly, their shields melting away. The alien commander shouted, "Retreat! Regroup the fleet!" But it was too late. The light spread, chasing them like a storm made of rage and memory. Back underground, Kira's control room began to collapse. Mason grabbed her arm. "We have to go. The tunnels won't hold." She pulled free, shaking her head. "If we leave now, it won't finish the charge." He looked at her, eyes full of fear. "Then we die here." She nodded. "Then we die as humans." She turned to the intercom one last time. "Everyone, thank you. Whatever happens next, remember, as we fought back." The walls cracked. The core's light swallowed the room. Mason screamed her name, but his voice vanished in the roar. The narrator's voice cuts through the chaos. In that final moment, every heartbeat, every tear, every scream became one sound, the sound of defiance. The camera rises through the ground, through fire and light, up into the sky from orbit. The Zorath fleet saw Earth shining, brighter than any sun. Then, one by one, their ships vanished in the storm of light. The alien commander stared at his screens as they went dark. What have they done?" He whispered, silence, then static. Then nothing. Below, the Earth's surface glowed with a strange golden light. The bombardment stopped. The planet grew quiet again, broken but breathing. The narrator's voice softens. The last stand of humanity was not about winning. It was about refusing to vanish. About standing in the ashes and saying, "We are still here." The camera slowly fades to black. Only the faint hum of the machine remains. The Earth trembled once more, but this time it was not the sound of fire or falling ships. It was the heartbeat of humanity, strong, loud, unbroken. Deep underground, the core of Project Godfire pulsed faster than ever before. Its light stretched like liquid gold, filling every tunnel, every chamber, every broken hall. The survivors, battered and weary, held their hands on the glowing surface. They did not touch it to control it. They touched it to give it their will. Dr. Kira Holt stood at the center, her eyes reflecting the brilliance. She had lost everything, her family, her home, her peace. But she had humanity itself in her hands now. The narrator's voice whispers, "For 10 years they were hunted. For 10 years they were broken, but never defeated." Every thought, every memory, every scream of pain and cry of hope was drawn into the core. The machine trembled violently. Sparks flew. Light flared so bright it could be seen even from orbit. Outside, the Zorath command fleet hovered, their ships like dark teeth above a glowing wound. They fired their weapons, plasma streams slicing through clouds, but the blasts bounced off a strange golden field that stretched from the Earth's surface into the sky. "Shields?" the alien commander barked. "Impossible. This is not a human planet. They are not supposed to have such technology." The lights on the Earth grew brighter, faster. Each pulse from the core sent waves of energy upward, tearing at the very atmosphere. The Zorath fleet shuddered as their engines overloaded. One by one, their cruisers began to crumble under the invisible force. Kira's voice rang out, steady and calm. "This is not just a weapon. This is our story. Every life they took, every city they burned, every tear. It is all here, and now it will speak." The humans below closed their eyes. They remembered. They remembered the laughter of children, the music of old streets, the warmth of the sun. They remembered the pain, the losses, the hatred, and they added it all to Godfire. A massive pulse erupted from the core, shooting into the sky like a column of living light. It hit the Zorath flagship first, the command ship that had ruled the fleet. The energy did not destroy it instantly. It unraveled it, breaking it apart molecule by molecule. The alien commander's screams echoed for a second before silence swallowed them. One after another, the ships in orbit were consumed. The energy from Godfire reached beyond Earth, spreading into the nearest star systems. Every Zorath cruiser, every station, every command vessel melted away. Their empire, built over thousands of worlds, began to collapse from the edges inward. On Earth, survivors watched the sky glow like a second sun. Children cheered. Soldiers fell to their knees. Even the exhausted old men and women smiled through tears. Kira held her hand to her heart. She could feel the pulse of every human, their combined will flowing through the machine, through the planet into the galaxy. "We did not just fight back," she whispered. "We are more than what they thought. We are infinite." The narrator's voice rises with awe. They had taken everything, but they had not taken the spirit of humans. And that spirit became a fire that could end empires. As the light faded slowly, the Zorath remnants were gone. Their fleets, their stations, their authority, all erased. The galaxy would remember the humans, not as a conquered race, but as a force no empire could ever control. The survivors emerged from the tunnels. They looked at the skies, now quiet except for the golden afterglow. Birds would return, wind would stir the ashes, and Earth itself seemed to breathe again. Mason approached Kira, awe and disbelief on his face. "They're all gone?" he asked. She nodded, exhausted. "Gone and never coming back. At least not for a long time." Children ran to her, holding small pieces of debris, fragments of alien tech, shiny and dangerous. Kira smiled, touching one and letting it fall. "Let them remember this," she said softly. "The fire of humans cannot be taken. It can only be seen." The narrator's voice softens, almost reverent. "In the end, the weapon was not just a machine. It was not a bomb, not a ship, not a sword. It was the heart of humanity united, stronger than fear, brighter than hate, eternal." The camera pans upward, showing Earth bathed in golden light. Stars seem to shine brighter. The galaxy holds its breath. The final words echo, filled with awe and pride. "You took everything from us. Now we take back the stars." The Earth was quiet. For the first time in 10 years, the silence was not filled with fear. It was calm, gentle, full of promise. The sky above glowed softly with golden light, the remnants of Project Godfire fading slowly into the atmosphere. Clouds reflected colors no human had seen in decades. Deep blues, soft oranges, pale pinks. Below, survivors stepped out from the tunnels. Their faces were dirty, tired and scarred, but their eyes were bright. They breathed the open air again, feeling the wind on their skin, the sun on their faces. Children ran across the cracked streets, laughing. For the first time, they played without fear of fire raining from above. Their laughter echoed through ruined cities, a sound stronger than any weapon. Old buildings stood broken, some leaning, some half-buried. But the survivors planted flags and banners, human symbols not for conquest but for memory. To remind the galaxy, humans survived, humans endured. Dr. Kira Holt walked among them, her boots crunching on broken concrete. She passed a group of children playing near a melted Zorath drone. One boy held up a piece of alien metal shining in the sun. "Look, Miss Kira, I found treasure." She smiled. "Not treasure, little star, history, and history belongs to us now." Mason joined her, leaning on the ruins of a wall. "We actually did it," he said softly, awe in his voice. Kira nodded. "We survived. We built. We fought. And now we start again." The narrator's voice, calm and proud, fills the air. The empire that had crushed planets, erased worlds, and hunted humans like animals was gone. And yet, the victory was not in the destruction of others. It was in the survival of a single race, humans who refused to be broken. Across the globe, lights began to flicker in other survivor settlements. Communications restored. People shared news of the victory, of Project Godfire, of the fall of the Zorath. The galaxy would remember, not the empires of steel, not the conquerors, but the humans who rose from ashes. Kira stood on a small hill outside the ruins of her city. She looked at the horizon, where smoke and sunlight mixed. She held a small recording device in her hands. Her voice was soft yet steady. "To those who survive, to those who rebuild, remember this. We are human. We fall, we rise, and we never stop fighting. We create beauty. We create life, and when all seems lost, we will rise again." She paused, tears shining in her eyes. "And to my daughter, wherever you are, we did it. We kept our world, and we will keep it safe together." Mason placed a hand on her shoulder. "What now?" he asked. She looked at the horizon, then smiled faintly. "Now we rebuild. Not just our homes, not just our cities, but our future." The camera pans over the earth, rivers glinting in sunlight, forests beginning to regrow, mountains scarred but standing tall. Smoke rises from fires, but it is gentle now, not from war. Birds return. Animals slowly emerge from hiding. The narrator concludes soft and triumphant. They took everything from us once. But humans never needed everything to survive. We only needed hope. We only needed courage. And in the end, humanity did not just survive, humanity shone. HFY. Humanity forever. The screen fades to black. A single line appears, glowing gold. The universe may take from us, but it will never take the heart of a human. The soft hum of Project Godfire lingers in the background, a reminder that the fire of humanity still burns, brighter than any empire. The end.